Welcome back, watchers and listeners, to the first ever episode of Chopped Up. I'm your host, Dave Pokorny, aka the runner of the account Upper Hand Chiefs on Instagram. We're doing a podcast now. I'm here with my co-host and offensive line coach at our local high school, Garett Aimutis. Garett, welcome to the show today.
Good
How
to
are
be
you?
here, man. Beautiful day out in KC area. I'm just ready to get started.
Awesome. Let's go to the multi-view. I love this software. Also, beyond the bottom of our screen, you will see the list of every single Chiefs prospect that has either met with us in the combine or has had one of those official top 30 visits. And you can just read them throughout the entire show. It's kind of like the ESPN thing where they put the thing on the bottom, We're here, we're professionals over here, right, Garett?
As always, we got the news ticker. We're all good to go.
But yeah, we got to get into our first topic of discussion, and that is that Rashee Rice is back in practice today. And that is, it's pretty good. I
It
like to hear that.
honestly didn't really expect to hear that today. I kind of expected them to kind of drag it out a little bit. Obviously, he's still got some stuff in the woodworks and got a lot of stuff to deal with down in Dallas. But I'm glad he's back at practice. Glad he's getting the reps, but obviously he's got a lot of stuff to work on.
Well, and like Andy Reid said, he just lets the due process play out. And Mahomes has some guys down there in Texas. This is the biggest group of guys I've seen train with Mahomes and Bobby Stroop. For those of you who don't know, Bobby Stroop is the trainer that's been training with Mahomes since maybe, I know it's been college, but maybe high school. I'd have to check that. But he's featured in that quarterback documentary on Netflix. We got some good guys here. I pulled up the list right here.
Yeah,
Hollywood Brown.
great addition. I love to see Hollywood out there working early with him. I mean, we saw the videos a couple weeks ago of him getting work in, and that's really what you want to see from a new addition, especially from a guy that we've seen a couple flashes from. But I mean, he's out here trying to prove himself. Got to prove it deal, and I think he's ready to get going.
My favorite part about this is Hollywood Brown has been like not injury prone, but he's been injured quite a bit. But he's about borderline injury prone at this point. But Bobby Stroop, one of the best trainers in terms of injury prevention, and I think that's huge that Hollywood's down there. Also, as we said earlier, Rashee Rice has already been down there earlier, but he's come back now just recently. Kadarius Toney's down there. Kadarius Toney's down there getting some practice in there. I like that.
Hopefully, a
Obviously, we got
lot.
the yeah.
Hopefully a good amount of reps down there. I mean, we have a couple of great highlights of our boy Kadarius Toney pulled up, I'm sure, but
Yeah, and too, Reed and Mahomes spoke on him recently in their presser, saying like, he's one of the most talented players on the roster, and so they have some hope for him this offseason. He's going to need to step up. Also, I love this guy, Louise Rees-Zammit, the rugby player that we signed. This is different. This is different than most rugby players I think that have tried to make it to the NFL. This dude's only 23 in the peak of his literal rugby career, youngest Welsh player ever to play on the national team since 1953, I think it was. It's like insane. Like this guy could do it, and he's doing the right things. He's training down there with Mahomes.
Oh yeah, he's getting out there early, and I mean, he's trying to push past that track record of ex rugby players trying to make it in the league, kind of washing out early. I mean, I think he's got a lot of good aspects to him. I mean, obviously, everyone knows that number that came out. Really good speed, pretty decent agility. Probably needs to work on the footwork a little bit. Obviously, it's a completely different sport, and he's got to learn the ways that we do things. But I have some good hope for him.
Yeah, I think he can make the translation if he, is what he's been tweeted to be. Another guy I like to see out there is Nico Remigio. He literally was the preseason star wearing number 27 at wideout last season, making some insane catches. Had an injury and spent the entire offseason on IR last year. But this year, he could be something. And then obviously we got Sky Moore over there training.
Hopefully,
Anthony
we get more
Miller.
out of him. I mean,
Yeah, I had high hopes for Sky Moore, and I know
look, I've met him. I've done a signing with him, and he's a great kid. He's got really good skills, but I mean, until it translates to the field the way I think it can, I think some other guys can deserve some chances ahead of him.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of competition again this year in the wide receiver room. Anthony Miller's an interesting one. He was a Bears wide receiver that got a lot of playing time over there in Chicago, but then kind of just disappeared for a little bit. And then obviously the two other quarterbacks, Chris Oludukin and Ian Book, are over there also helping because you can't just have Mahomes throwing to these guys. So yeah,
And we don't have Blaine Gabbert anymore. Thank
you know,
God.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was very concerned with Blaine Gabbert as our backup. I know
I was a little upset that they chose Gabbert over blanking on his name.
Chad Henne.
No, the younger kid. We had him a couple years.
Oh yeah, Shane Buechele, dude,
Yeah,
that
Shane
made me so
Buechele
mad.
totally should have took him over Gabbert, but hey, I get it. Maybe some politics in the room there. I know Andy loves his veteran quarterbacks at backup, but can
Yeah,
we
I
really call
think.
Blaine Gabbert a veteran? I don't.
Yeah, well, I think too is like yeah, that looked like the plan all along. With Shane Buechele was being trained up. We used our practice squad protection on him when the Cardinals tried to sign him 2 years ago, and then last year he went off in the preseason, and then he made the initial roster, then we cut him or something like that.
Yeah,
But like,
now I believe he's still on the Bills. I don't know if he had like a longer contract. I know he had a 1 year this year, but
I know he's not back, and that stinks. But we did sign Carson Wentz, who is not down in Texas. But I do feel a lot safer with Carson Wentz than I do with
yeah,
Blaine
I mean,
Gabbert.
looking at the quarterbacks that are down there, we haven't seen a crazy amount of Ian Book, and obviously Chris is a 1 year player. But I mean, hey, if Carson Wentz can come in and at least save us from a few games, heaven forbid Mahomes goes down. I think that's really all we're looking for in a backup. I think would be just a guy that's not going to lose us a game if it's the middle and we're up maybe 10.
Dude, I saw a tweet that someone said, and Carson Wentz has the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever, and it's the reverse of the Nick Foles thing, where he comes in for Mahomes and wins the Super Bowl.
Dude, hey, you know what?
I don't know if I can't complain, you know.
I would prefer we get the three-peat with our main man, our captain at quarterback. But hey,
God forbid anything happened to Mahomes, yeah.
if Carson Wentz has to go in, I'm rooting for him, buddy.
All right, so now we are going to move on to our next segment here, talking about the Chiefs wide receivers. Or not the Chiefs wide receivers, the draft prospect wide receivers. The NFL draft is already this Thursday, dude. This offseason has
Thursday,
blown
man.
by.
It's coming up on us. It's sneaking up. So, I mean, we kind of have to talk. I mean, even if we didn't want to talk about the draft, we kind of have to. But
It's
I mean,
crazy to
it is
me.
a stacked class for receiver,
Uh,
which we really need.
Honestly, dude, I'm not worried. Everybody's worried about like, oh my God, we need a first round wide receiver, or we need to trade up, or we need to trade this, that, and the other thing. My perfect world is we trade back actually, because I don't think we need to take a reach at 32
I
like we
would
did with.
totally be fine taking a second round wide receiver.
Well, yeah, and I mean, well, we kind of reached on Felix, and I don't want to reach on a wide receiver that we might not need. And if we trade back, I feel like we could get a good tackle and a good wide receiver in the second round. Dude, there are so many names on this list that I have pulled up. Like I'm not concerned with any of these guys. And we already signed Hollywood. I think Rice will be fine. We have guys in the room that could be good, like Sky Moore and Tony, that need to, step it up a little bit. But I'm not as worried as some people are saying. Like, I think we have bigger holes, and offensive tackle is the scariest to me right now.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the performance of our starting tackles last year and the departure of our left tackle, so we're kind of a couple question marks in that spot. I know we have our man Wanye Morris currently leading the helm, but if we have to rely on that, I would not be too ecstatic, to say the least.
I think he has potential. Like, I definitely like him a lot as a prospect, but I definitely want to get something a little more secure for
Right.
now,
I
or
mean,
at least.
when you have your $500 million man slinging the rock back there, you kind of want somebody at least of competence at your tackle spots, especially with the struggles we had with outside pressure
Oh
last year.
yeah. All right, so let's rattle off some wide receivers. Kind of our thoughts about them.
Obviously, you want to start with your favorite one, and probably the favorite to go to the Chiefs at this time.
Longhorn legend Adonai Mitchell. I got the Longhorn sign right here. Adonai Mitchell, dude, I've gotten to watch everything of him in his Texas career specifically. I go there. Sorry, guys. That's why I'm not in Kansas City right now with Garett. But yeah, he is a complete package, a true jump ball receiver. I was actually shocked by his 3.5 or his 4.35 the combine speed on his 40. That blew me away. But dude, he gets it all done. 50-50 ball. He's clutch. That's the biggest part that I like about him. He is clutch. I cite the TCU game. I hope we have a clip of this pulled up. The TCU game where Adonai Mitchell adjusts to the ball, 3rd and 10. Ball is bad, but thrown behind him, makes the adjustment, backwards catch, like bam.
And
Clutch.
I think a lot of people forget the part about that clip is that the play before. I mean, he's coming off the field, yelling at his quarterback, and his coach saying, "Throw me the ball."
Yeah, and he
Especially in
does
that
that.
situation, he goes to his coach, tells him that he's got this, goes out there on 3rd and 10, makes a great catch, scores for the team. Obviously fell a little short at the end, but
Well, that's the Washington game, but TCU game, he
Washington,
also made a
sorry.
clutch shot. But yes, I mean, both purple, both moments where he demanded that he get the ball. And I saw the character concern thing too out of nowhere today by like ML football. And we're going to talk about our
Yeah,
favorite Twitter accounts later.
God.
But like, where did that come from? I want my receiver to be all receivers are kind of diva-ish and to an extent. I want my receiver to know he's good and to demand the ball. And
Yeah,
I
you
don't
got to
think
have a
any
little swagger to you at the position. I mean, when you're going up against corners, which are also some of the most swaggy players on the field, you got to have a little bit of grit to you.
absolutely. So Adonai Mitchell out of Texas, really like him. I have Brian Thomas Jr. listed here. I think it is still in the realm of possibilities for the Chiefs to get, but that'd be a trade up opportunity. And I really don't want to trade up, but I think he
Yeah,
would
I
be
mean, we'd
really
probably
nice on
have
the
to
Chiefs.
maybe go, I would say probably at least 20, maybe a little bit higher if we wanted to get someone like him, but
I think
I
he's
don't
going to
see that
go
being.
around like 18, 19, 20 area, and if he
Yeah, and
falls to 20, I still don't think anyone would want to trade. If they saw him slipping and they said, "Oh, the Chiefs are calling, we want him." Yeah, I don't think
I
we
mean,
he would
and
be.
even with we saw this in the draft last year. If we have an opportunity to maybe trade up and grab a player, teams aren't really that willing to trade with us that often, especially in the draft.
Yeah, I really wanted to trade up last year, although apparently we're going to take Mozzie Smith, but I think Mozzie Smith would have been better than Felix. I
Felix,
think Felix could be okay. He could be good.
I just think Felix, he's sat for the year. Obviously, played a bit in the Super Bowl due to injury, and we have a lot of pretty sizable and dependable players at the edge position. Some
Dana,
players
I'm
that
so glad Dana's back. Sorry.
so glad Dana's back, and obviously, I'm blanking on.
Carl Loftus.
Well, I mean, obviously, Karloftis, the guy with Omenahu, he was
Oh,
great
yeah,
for us
yeah,
before
yeah, yeah.
injury, and that's a pretty deep position depth wise currently. So I think Felix can have a good future with us, but currently, I mean, he's got a couple guys ahead of him that have really shown their stuff.
Not a problem to have, though. I like a very deep D line, and I like how it's the same group, too. I really hope it can bring
Now,
back Emmanuel
deep
after this year.
edge, deep edge. Interior, maybe not so much in terms of reliable depth.
Derek
Hopefully we
Nottie,
address.
I loved Nottie his first like 4 years. He was really good, but these last couple of years he
I
has
really, I really want us to really push Wharton. I think Wharton can be really good for us at that second interior D line position. But
I like the guys we have though. I think the depth is good. It's just like there's not a 2B to Chris
I
Jones, and
just think, I just think our issue is we really don't have that like premier run stopper. Like Chris Jones is great at rushing the passer, really good, on the initial step. But if we need a guy who they're going, heavy packages and they're counter power, we just don't have a guy that can
well,
really fill those gaps.
that's why we brought back Pinnell, baby.
Dude,
And
the big man himself. What a
but
goat.
the
Chief
issue
legend.
the issue is he is getting up there and you need his eventual replacement. I like Devontae Sweat out of Texas, but
Yeah,
that's
I'd
biased as
agree.
hell.
I mean, hey, with how Texas is playing now, I mean, it's not like, a couple of years ago you'd be like, oh, he's a guy from Texas. He's probably not too good. But right now you guys got some pretty good players. So
Yeah, we do, don't we? I'm really excited for the new wide receiver core that they got over there. Speaking of wide receivers, Brendan Rice, USC. I don't get it. It's Jerry Rice's son, and he's not overhyped. I was expecting him to be
yeah,
completely
I
overrated.
mean, I've barely heard really anything on him. And I don't know if that says more about him or more about the media, but I've rarely heard anything about him.
Which is crazy because I've been watching him longer than AD Mitchell. I've actually been watching him since his Colorado days. I watched a lot of Colorado football. I don't really remember why he couldn't get on the field. I think there were some off the field concerns at Colorado, but they've had a lot of off the field concerns with their wide receiver group, Levante Chenault and all those guys. But yeah, like this is pre Deion Sanders, by the way. But he moved to USC. I think USC, they had good wide receivers in front of him. Obviously, he had to play under Jordan Addison, who's an absolute beast in the NFL. I really like what Jordan Addison's able to do. And then they had Taj Washington and Rice kind of be 1A, 1B this year. But I just think Rice is just such a deep threat. I really think he could just open up the back end. And what I did like about his tape that I was watching earlier with Caleb Williams is a scrambler slash, like, he's an improviser. He keeps the play alive. And Brandon Rice was finding those holes in the zone, and he was sitting down, knowing his role and making those plays. And a lot of his touchdown passes came off of just Caleb Williams doing some Caleb Williams type shit, and then Brandon Rice being
Yeah,
there.
and I mean, obviously, a lot of that football mind stuff comes from him probably being raised by the best wide receiver of all time. And I think even in a lot of the clips that I've seen of him, I think a really underrated part of his game is his route running. And that makes total sense, being the son of who he is. And I think his route running is probably the best part of his game, which I think goes under the radar.
Well, and people are concerned with his speed. I mean, he's like a 4.5, 4.6, I think. But it's like
Which,
at this point,
as long as you're close to a 4.4 in the NFL and you can get off of press coverage, I think that's the more important part anyway. Like,
well, I think it's game speed too. I think he plays faster than the 40 time. And I think the same could be said for Keon Coleman, who I don't really think I want the Chiefs to get, but I think that knock on him is stupid that he's slow. I don't think he's slow.
yeah, I mean, you can't be a top prospect in an NFL draft and be slow.
Yeah. Speaking
Unless
of
you're a lineman, but those don't
well,
count.
speaking of Keon Coleman, we can go switch to him now. Really, a lot of his tape is just jump ball contested catches, and quite frankly, I just don't think that's going to be sustainable in the NFL. Like,
Yeah, I think this league is turning into more of a yak league, if that's just the shortest way to put it. And I don't think he excels in that area. I mean, he'll come
that's
down
a
with the
good point.
ball, but if he has the ball in his hands, he's not going to really wow you with his after run ability.
That is kind of true. It is kind of a yak league these days, especially if that new hip drop
Don't even,
tackle.
dude. That's going to be another segment, man.
Oh, we should definitely talk about the NFL rule changes in the next episode. But yeah, dude, it is actually aggravating. I do like the kickoff rule though. I will say I do like the new kickoff rule.
Totally agree. I think it's going to really amplify that part of the game and kind of just spice some things up. And also, I think that's where our boy Louis Rees-Zammit is really going to
Oh yeah,
show his work.
dude. If he takes one to the house, I think he's just gonna be.
Bold prediction right now. He's taking the first one to the house if he's returning.
I think it's possible. What is first off, because they don't know the rules yet, or they haven't practiced with the rules yet. So the first
But I
game
mean,
is
even
gonna be a
then, I
little
mean, it's
crazy.
not that big of a departure from the current rules. I mean, the only difference is they're a little bit further ahead and they can't run
But
to
they're
the
all in this
returner.
line. They're all in this line. It's just like the defensive. It's just like who wins. I don't know.
I
It
mean, yeah,
is
it just
rugby
emphasizes.
esque.
Yeah, it's rugby-esque. Obviously, it emphasizes more on the blocking technique rather than just setting up combos and doubles on a return. But hey, we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes.
Moving on to Washington, they got two wide receivers. I guess we could talk about them both together. Jalen McMillan, who actually has visited with the Chiefs. I should probably say who has visited with the Chiefs. First wide receiver we've listed so far that's visited with us, and then Jalen Polk. But let's talk about McMillan first. I've heard a lot of people really, really thinking he's a climber in this draft. They're like, if he's in 2022 draft class, he would have gone in the high second round. Obviously, Washington, all their receivers destroyed my Texas Longhorns, and it was very hard to tell who was doing well because they all did well.
I mean, yeah, that's true. Uh, I think really the only part about McMillan's game that isn't like wowing is probably his top level speed. I mean, he's got really good intermediate, but he's not going to like beat anyone deep. I would say he's pretty decent at change of direction, kind of like a little bit shifty, but nothing to wow you. I mean, he's no Kadarius Toney when it comes to shiftiness, but other
Like,
than that, his
yeah,
game's pretty
Kadarius
good.
Toney can't catch the ball. Sorry.
Look, ball in hand, Kadarius Toney is one of the goats. Okay, but
Here's the thing.
getting the ball in the hands is the hard part.
I don't think he had drop issues before, like just last year. I think it's just it's gonna pass. I think it was just an episode because
Yeah,
some of his catches for the
it's.
Cowboy or against the Cowboys in that Giants game, and then in the Jaguars game, like he was catching some incredible balls. I think it's just
I think he just had a bad stretch. Hopefully, I mean, if that continues in the next year, uh, Who knows? But
Yeah.
we'll have some guys probably to fill that spot if there happens to be some issues with him.
But meanwhile, Jalen Polk, dude, I think he is so slept on. 6'2". He's actually just yeah, he's a very good compliment to obviously the GOAT, which is Rome Odunze, who we are not going to be having,
Yeah, no.
unfortunately. But uh, just Polk just it's just like the eye test. I don't know how to describe what makes him good, but it's just watching him play.
I
He
mean,
he's
super
he
tough, great hands, and really that's kind of what we're looking for right now is good hands.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too is I don't like the idea of getting another like just pure small deep threat. We have that in Hollywood Brown. We can talk about
God, if
Xavier
if we
Worthy.
get another like 5'9" deep threat, oh my lord.
Well, that's
I'm
what I'm
so
saying.
tired of him.
We could talk about Xavier Worthy now because that's where I think most of my fan base wants to take at 32 even. And
I
listen,
mean,
I've had class with Xavier Worthy. I could speak on this. Like he he's definitely like how do I say this? Respect to Xavier over here, but Worthy's a great player. I think he's definitely an amazing college athlete. He's one of the top premier speed guys that you'll ever see. And he actually, the thing that I think gets slept on about him is his route running. I think he's an amazing route runner. He's always wide open, and it's not because of his speed, it's because of his route running. He's a very good player. However, I see a lot of similarities, unironically, to Kadarius Toney over there because there has been some issues tracking a ball. It could be on Quinn Ewers. It could be on Xavier Worthy. They never seem to be on the same page. I just I don't think it's a good fit for KC right now. I know Hollywood's on a 1-year deal, but I expect him maybe to come back if he has like a mediocre year or if he has a good year. I think that we'll make an effort to keep him. But I like Worthy, but I don't like Worthy that high.
yeah, no, especially not at 32. I mean, there are significantly more receivers that I would be more comfortable taking at
And
32.
offensive lineman. I would rather take an
Yeah,
offensive lineman, bro.
yeah. We all know whom I would pick if he drops there. But hey, that might be just a little bit of bias. But
Who, Guyton?
mhm.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
I love my Oklahoma boys. What can I say?
I
Not an
mean,
Oklahoma
hey,
fan, but they grind out linemen.
they really do. I mean, hey, Creed Humphrey, Wanya Morris, and
Trey.
Trey already just on the Chiefs alone. I know Trent Williams is a OU
I know
grad
I
as
know
well.
there's, memes of the Eagles D line just constantly taking those Georgia boys, but hey, if we can build up our O line with Oklahoma, I would not mind.
That's actually kind of funny. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Moving on to a receiver prospect that I did not know much about until the upper hand community here was like, let's go for Javon Baker. And wow, his stats shocked me. Like he had only like 50 something catches. I should have had this written down. I'm sorry, guys. And he had like 1,200 yards.
Yeah,
So
it's just
like
I
his
mean it was astronomical when you sent me that. It was just it's like it's like a Madden stat line. It just instantly pops out at you, and it makes you interested.
Yeah, no, he's in touchdowns there too. They're high in touchdown volume. And then I watched an interview with him because I like Steve Smith Sr. when it comes to evaluating wide receivers. I think he knows what he's talking about considering his Cooper Cup evaluation a couple of years back. That's enough credit for whatever. Steve Smith interviewed Javon Baker, and he had the mentality where he's like, oh, yeah, I get the ball in my hands. It's a different game. And I really like that. I like him being confident. I love a confident receiver. We've really struggled with the receiver that's been as confident as some of these kids coming out of college. And hell, I want to see him play. So let's move on to Lad McConkey.
Another one that a lot of people are mocking going to the Chiefs, and I mean, I don't. I guess I could see the scheme fit, but I mean, when you put him on a list filled with some of these receivers on here, he doesn't wow me as much as some of these other guys. But I can see some upside to him as well.
I'm going to put a side note real quick because I forgot to say Javon Baker has met with the Chiefs. But back on Mr. McConkey here. The issue I see with him, although, by the way, upper hand for Oz loves Mr. McConkey. He thinks he's going to be really good. He got to scout him at the Pro Day, the Reese Pro Bowl, or Reese. What is it called? The Reese's Bowl?
Yeah, it's like
Senior Bowl. Jesus, Senior Bowl.
whatever, like random bowl game that they just throw out there every once in a while.
But yeah, so he got to scout him at the Senior Bowl, and that was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, I think he's good. I just don't like the draft capital right there. But I really don't have much to say. I think he's a great route runner, great catcher. He finds open space. He plays the game the right way. I like that.
Hey, it's just he just he's a lunch pail guy. What can we say?
Moving on to Luke McCaffrey, who I actually really, really like. I've been following him since he was a quarterback at Nebraska. Now, this is a guy I don't think is going to be a true wide receiver. Obviously, this is a late round receiver. We're getting to some of the later round receivers that we like. McCaffrey is like a Taysom Hill type to me. You could really use him as a gadget player, and I know Andy Reid loves his gadget guys. I saw this incredible contested catch that he made against UTSA, and just like powered through two guys, just slamming right into him either side, held onto the ball. And I think he's underrated. His stats were really good last year with 1,100 total yards. I think he could be an offensive weapon for us. And in the 5th round, if he's there, I'd want him. Bring him on the team. Why not?
And you got to wonder what that says about. We have 2 wide receivers in this draft class that are both younger family members of either former or current really good NFL players, and they're kind of falling under everyone's radar.
Now with Luke, I understand it because he really only had one good year, and it was at Rice, and it's because he wanted to play quarterback. He was determined to play quarterback, couldn't really get the opportunity to play quarterback. I wish he was switched to wide receiver at Nebraska because I guarantee you he'd be a 3rd round pick if he did so, but I digress. Anyway, but yeah, I think it's warranted, but I think the upside's definitely there and worth it. Okay, we should definitely you need to talk about your boy Ricky Pearsall.
Listen, everyone has their draft crush, okay? And mine happens to be Ricky Pearsall out of Florida. Really just kind of had a little bit of a breakout the year this year. He's had some absolutely incredible catches, great catch radius. He's a phenomenal route runner. I think he's slipping under every single person's radar, and I would be absolutely ecstatic if the Chiefs got him. I mean, when you can play at that kind of level I love my boy Graham Mertz, but he was just kind of getting into the Florida system, just kind of slipping his socks on and getting used to it. But I mean, if you can put up a season like that, I think he has a lot of upside. We probably have a clip of that absolutely nuts catch. I forgot who he was playing against, but I mean, just high point, just takes an absolute clock shot straight through the ribs and the neck, and he just still somehow comes down with it. He's got everything we really want.
He has a couple of those too. I was watching some more of his highlights, but definitely he had 3 different quarterbacks in his entire Florida career?
Yeah, 3 different quarterbacks during his career there, and I think he finally set into his groove. And
that's another guy too. I like his upside too. And listen, if he's there at the end of the 2nd round, take him. Take Ricky Pearsall, man.
Just give him a chance, man. I mean, I know a lot of 4 or 5 touchdowns a year doesn't really shoot to the moon at you, but I mean, has Florida really had that phenomenal of a pass thrower? I mean,
they also had the worst offensive line when we were watching that tape.
Don't even talk about it, man. I mean, I watched a lot of Florida, and the time in the pocket was just horrendous. And he went from Graham Mertz, obviously is more of a pass thrower, but with that kind of O-line, you're not going to get a lot of time to set up these kind of routes that kind of fit his scheme. And the year before, he had Anthony Richardson, which throwing really was not his game.
Well, and even still, Anthony Richardson was just starting to become the prospect that he is today. And obviously Florida ran a very different system and just can't really find an identity offensively. So I really like his upside there. He could really surprise a lot of people if he lands on the Chiefs. I would draft him in fantasy immediately.
Dude, I would get it. I don't even try it. I would get him way before you would, man.
Now here's another guy. This is a guy, Jacob Punch, our fellow friend and potentially member of the podcast later, but we're testing it out with these two first. Malachi Corley out of Western Kentucky. He was singing his praises. To me, he had a phone call with me. He was like, I like this kid. And you know what? I watched the tape. He just reminds me of just a Rashid Rice again, except a little bit shorter, but more of a slot receiver. But it's just that run after catch ability. He plays like a running back at wide receiver, which is what I really like. Just will not go down at first contact. It's a lot of yak. He is Mr. Yak Merchant. A lot of his plays are just screen passes, just taken to the house.
And what did we talk about earlier, man? It's a yak league now.
So, I mean, hey, he would be a good fit. He would kind of be, I would say, taking the position of Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney on the inside. But that's the thing. I guess if we really think about it, we probably are looking for a slot guy. Although I really would want to draft an outside guy if I had to be completely honest.
Yeah,
But
I mean, with Hollywood, I mean, I think he has the potential to be an outside receiver. Obviously, Rasheed has been really well used in
the slot.
basically everywhere, especially the slot. But hey, we have to draft for potential absences. You could say maybe a long-term one. Uh,
Hopefully not.
Hopefully
But
not. Hey, the NFL wheel of punishment is it's a cruel mistress, and we will see how long, if any, he.
yeah, I was seeing like too, like what Brandon Eccles did something similar, and since he's not a known player, he didn't really get a punishment. But it's
But I
like,
mean, and then he had Willie Gay with the vacuum thing, and he had 4 games. So who knows?
yeah, I can't, dude. I don't know how
Could
that was
just
even a suspension for 4 games.
I
And Amenahue was 6. I think they're, yeah, you're
I
right.
think
It
I
is,
think Omenahu with 6 was just completely random.
yeah. Well,
I hey,
the wheel of punishment. I like that. It's funny, but it's true. Roman Wilson out of Michigan. This is a guy that wowed me when I was watching the Michigan later season games when they had important games to play. Roman Wilson just seemed like a guy who would find the ball, and that's like a really important attribute. JJ McCarthy, we really have no idea what he could potentially be. I know he's now getting tweeted as a top 10 prospect, but JJ McCarthy threw a ball late. I don't know what game this was, but we'll find the clip. Threw the ball late over the head of his other receiver, and all of a sudden Roman Wilson's there, brings it down, like tiptoes, jump. Like I didn't even know a human could get that high on a jump, brings it down, and the ball was maybe thrown to him. If it was bad. But
might have been a little overthrown to somebody else, and just found his way there. Uh, could be a potential that he's very familiar with the scheme and knows where everyone else is supposed to be, and if he sees an overthrown ball, he's going where it's going.
well, and I really like that too. And I think it's going to be, like I said, the reason Rasheed Rice was easily acclimated to this offense is that experience. And I think that looking for a player with that experience to really contribute as a rookie is probably what the Chiefs might be looking for. And if they don't get that, the developmental prospect, I would expect patience. The fan base, I demand you to be patient with whatever receiver we draft because I don't think they're going to be a star immediately, depending on the situation. But
Yeah, I mean, with Chiefs rookies, it's always a coin toss whether they're going to be playing a ton of snaps or if they're just really going to be sitting and watching from the sidelines for a while. I mean, we've seen that with plenty of rookies in the past couple of years that obviously were highly touted and they're just sitting back, watching, learning. It's a very tough offense to learn, and it takes time.
yeah, like Sky Moore didn't really play much his rookie year, and he was a second round wide receiver. But then you have Rasheed Rice also taking the second round. Bam, he explodes on the scene. Same with Mecole Hardman. I think Mecole Hardman reached his peak as a freshman as a rookie, but like he played a lot.
I
And
mean, hey,
his best season was as a rookie.
Super Bowl GOAT. What can we say? Mecole
Yeah.
Hardman.
By
Wouldn't
the
trade it
way,
for the world, baby.
he is. I don't think he'll be coming back this season. But hey, shout out to Mecole for all he did. He
Hey,
did
man,
prove the haters wrong, and that's important.
he did.
Here's another guy that everybody wants that I don't want. Troy Franklin out of Oregon. Why? His stats are really good. Don't get me wrong. He went to Green Bay, that it just feels like all of his plays, there's not a DB over him. He was wide open the whole play, and he made the play. But Christian Watson is 6'4", and this guy is not 6'4". I think he's only 5'11". He's very small frame.
Yeah, and for a deep ball receiver, you don't really want to be under 6 foot. I know that's a crazy thing to say, right? Trying to get a deep ball over the top of a defender, but hey,
Hey, Tyreek was a contested catcher. I love to stand by that. See, that's the difference between Tyreek Hill and some of these other speed guys that everyone's talking about. Oh, get these fast receivers. Tyreek Hill can make a contested catch. Tyreek Hill has hands. And
when he uses them. I think he chest catches a lot of stuff, as we've seen plenty of times. But hey,
but
when
him
he uses
mossing
his
Justin
hands,
Reed, that moss on Justin Reed. Oh my gosh.
that's true. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
that's
an
true.
insane play.
Oh,
Man,
do you remember that touchdown where he didn't know that he caught a touchdown
oh my
against
god.
the Broncos?
I remember just absolutely just almost breaking my screen.
When we didn't
Obviously, I didn't
challenge
see it
it.
at the time. But after seeing the replay, I'm like, how did you not know it didn't touch the ground?
Yeah. All right, now we go. I think this will be the last one we talk about because we did touch on
Leggett.
Worthy. Leggett, dude. I had never heard of Leggett until we started doing this draft talk, and wow, I am excited for the potential. This could be this is the DK Metcalf of this draft, and
I
I
mean, yeah, the
think
kid's 6'1". I mean, he's probably floating around 215, 220. And I mean, I think top speed last year at South Carolina was somewhere around 21, 22 miles per hour. And that's in pads. So
yeah. Well, and
big,
one of the
big,
plays
big
that
body, good speed, pretty
and
good
one of the plays
combo.
I saw from him was a wide receiver or a DB had a chance to pick it off and end the game, and he had the focus to still catch that ball after it hit the DB's hands, get out of bounds, make the play. Really, really great wide receiver, and the potential's there too. I love that prospect. I think I don't know. It's just again, it's an eye test guy. I watch
I
his
mean, hey,
film.
if we have another DK prospect, that automatically means we're taking Worthy because he's the McCole Hardman of this draft.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's such a good draft comp. That's
yep.
actually a great draft comp for Worthy. I don't know why I never made that correlation. He's kind of me. No, I disagree. Actually, Worthy is
Yeah, no, Worthy is
so
so much better of a
better of a
route
route
runner.
runner. Mecole Hardman, his issue is he could not run that many routes. So dude. I feel like a lot of people are just like, oh, two fast guys. Let's
Oh,
compare them.
fast guy, he's John Ross. So,
Yeah.
that's just it's never the case. I mean,
No.
these let's just say Worthy's not going 9 right before Mahomes, but hey, go
Yeah,
Bengals, right?
I think Worthy's low key a better prospect than John Ross was. So that's But I mean, John Ross's college tape is amazing. So it's like the Tavon Austin type beat.
Yeah, we had John Ross for like maybe a month. Like I don't remember how long that was, or if
Dude,
he even made the field.
he retired because he wasn't going to play over Justin Ross and all that stuff. Dude, when I was posting that news, people were so confused because they kept confusing Justin and John
With
Ross.
Justin Ross, yeah.
Yeah, and they're just like,
I
please.
think the moment he realized he wasn't going to play snaps over Justin Watson, I think he's like, well, all right, I'm cooked. It's time to hang up the cleats.
Justin Watson's coming back. I kind of forgot about that. No, yeah, Justin Watson's
I
solid.
have no
He's never
problems with Justin.
consistent.
It's like there'll be like a 2-game stretch where he just does nothing, and then he'll have like the most clutch catch of all time late in the third or fourth, and then we're like, oh yeah, he's great again, and then we just
Here's
forget about him.
Unironically, he was our best deep threat last year, which says a lot about this team. And
I
now
would
I think
say
we have a
Justin
better.
Watson is the Daniel Sorensen of the Chiefs wide receiver core, where not really, this high level guy, but he comes in clutch when it matters with catches. Where Dan Sorensen, he would let up a huge deep bomb in the first, but comes down to that fourth quarter interception. Our man Dan.
Dude, I know a lot of Chiefs fans are Dan Sorensen haters. I am a Dan Sorensen apologist. Listen, he has
Did
a
you see recently that highlight video of Daniel Sorensen that was going around? It was hilarious.
Now look, he's had a lot of bad plays out there, but he's also had some of the most clutch and important plays in Chiefs recent memory, and he got a lot better. And listen,
Broncos fans have had nightmares about Dan Sorensen.
oh yeah, and Browns fans too. When he got that fumble at the 1 yard line, and Phillip Rivers loved throwing interceptions to just Daniel Sorensen. I've had some great memories of Dan
God.
Sorensen, Dan the
I do
man.
think it was funny when both Dan and Tyron left and somehow both ended up on the Saints.
Oh yeah,
It's the classic. I mean, you can't have one without the other. It's like bread and butter.
dude, Saints they signed a bunch of our guys. Dude, Colin Saunders is a guy I miss. I miss Colin Saunders, and they signed Willie Gay too. They're taking all of our players.
Dude, I mean, hey, it's like it used to be Miami or the Jets with the Patriots, where they were
Yes,
just kind of siphoning off their older players that they're just kind of dropping.
it's
Uh,
kind of like Miami with us too because they had Ogba. Ogba's a
and
free
Ogba.
agent. I kind of want Agba back. Actually,
I, I mean,
we don't really need him
yeah,
back.
we
I
got
like
decent
Agba
depth
a lot.
there. I did like Agba when we had him. I was kind of sad when we let him go, but obviously
That's the model. And I thought Dana was going to follow that model too, where it's like, we have a breakout pass rusher, and then all of a sudden they get signed off to go somewhere
look,
else.
if you want to be a Chiefs pass rusher, you just have to have a tall body and long arms. That's really all Spags looks for. Can you swat a ball down at the line of scrimmage?
I do like how Leo Chenal. Oh yeah, you're talking about Carlos Dunlap too, especially. But
I mean, Dunlap, Omenahu,
Passanio.
Karloftis. I think Karloftis and Dunlap, or maybe it was
No, Dunlap. I
Omen.
think had more
It was
passes
1 and
batted
2.
than
I'm pretty sure it
DBs.
was 1
Yeah,
and 2. It was Karloftis and Dunlap had with like 8 and 9. I don't remember what the
yeah, it
exact
was it
numbers
was
were, but
crazy.
I mean,
Some
hey, good strategy, I guess. Good edge
dude, Chris
contain and
Jones
swat some
can do
balls
it
down.
too.
Well, I mean, he's got good feel for the game, so I don't think his body is really contributing to that. But I mean, he obviously knows where to go and where to be. Ask Brock Purdy about that one. But
Hey, all right. So now we're gonna go on to our next topic, which is just kind of like the Twitter sphere right now in terms of just
the absolute insanity that evolves on that app every single day.
the aggregator accounts. So the reason this whole topic spawned is I saw a couple posts from this account called ML Football. Uh, they just post the most heinous headlines that like are only like maybe kind of true. If it is, if your grandmother on the street told the hairdresser about this tip, ML Football is reporting that. So
Yeah, it's like when you go home from a long day at work and you talk to your family and she's like, "Oh, did you hear about this clip or article?" And it's like some Facebook ad. That is ML football.
exactly. I have three of theirs actually typed up that I wanted to talk about their tweets that I was just like, bro, why? But first off, let's talk about the AD Mitchell thing came out of nowhere today, and everyone was talking about that. They're like, he has low blood sugar, he gets angry at his coaches, he's so diva-ish, he's demanding, he's immature, all this stuff that's got like out of nowhere. I have said hi to AD Mitchell before, and obviously that's not a large enough sample size to
No,
evaluate
I
his
think it's large
character.
enough. I think the interaction you've had with him tells about his character as a whole.
He seemed pretty calm and humble and did not see, and this was after a game, by the way. This was after he played against Iowa State. So it's like I don't
Yeah.
think I
Now, I mean, obviously, with the way Twitter's run now and the way ad revenue and payment goes out on that app, you're trying to get as much interaction as possible and trying to get people to comment like, "Oh, this is just completely wrong." But I mean, if they're wrong, they're commenting. So
well, and the reason why I don't believe anything ML says anymore is because one of the tweets he had recently is Patrick Mahomes is probably going to retire early because if football gets in the way of his daughter's lives. Emphasis on the S in that word because Mahomes has a son and a
a
daughter,
son and a
doesn't
daughter.
have two daughters. And he like did the quotes too, like as if Mahomes had said that. I'm like, bro,
Yeah,
this is not
just
journalism.
I mean, yellow journalism, you could say, but
Yeah.
it's just that's just the way of the wasteland of Twitter is now. It's just people constant. I mean, if you even look and like click on any article on Twitter now, and it's just constantly like people posting their own articles and videos, and they're just trying to get as
Oh, you're
much
right.
views and comments as possible. So,
And all the OnlyFans ads in the
oh my
replies now
god,
too.
I
It's
mean,
pretty
it's
bad.
literally a lawless just wasteland in Twitter. It's awful,
Now, I was just
but
gonna let this all slide. I was not gonna respond to any of this ML stuff until he posted randomly today. The Panthers head coach used to have a raging porn addiction, and he talked about it in a book that was written like probably a long time ago. Like, why is that just news you need to post today? You've already posted plenty of news. Like, it's
I guess it
just
was a
like,
slow news day.
yeah,
And maybe he has something against our man on the Panthers, but
I was
he's
just
got some
like,
beef, I guess.
it's just like, dude, I hate engagement farmers. Like, I had to report the Rashee Rice news when it came out, and I made sure to do it very delicately. I was not going to spam it like some of these other accounts that have like every single update that they could possibly think of with Rashee Rice, they would post it.
Yeah,
I
one
did
little
only,
inkling comes out of Dallas. They're like, "Oh, let me just grab it, post it on there."
yeah, I made sure, and also like no tags, like try not to get, this isn't about that. This is about
Yeah,
you guys want to know
it's
the
not about
update.
the views or the it's important news that it's obviously it was a really stupid thing to do, and hearts go out to the people affected, but It's just not something that we need to push for monetary value. It's real life.
Yeah, and it's tough. And I mean, I've made a lot of stupid mistakes in my life too. That I, unfortunately, I'm in a class right now at my school about it's about the psychiatric abilities of being a football player, and it's like nobody knows my mistakes, but if you have that platform and you do have a responsibility to be a role model to everyone else, but your stuff gets heightened, and that kind of can stink. And just put yourself in some other people's shoes. Obviously, made a really dumb mistake, but we just be fortunate that he didn't do anything potentially worse.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, thank God no one was seriously, gravely hurt, and even the people he was with, even though they were a part of the problem. I mean, just thank goodness everyone was okay.
So let's move on to Mr. Lance the Spoken, because this actually does have something to do with what we're talking about, which this pissed me off, and this is exactly going to the point that
This is new to me because I'm pretty sure I blocked him like a couple months ago. So you're whatever you're about to tell me is just first things first.
right when the Rashid Rice news hit, he posted, "See, guys, I told y'all we should have traded for Brandon Ayuk," and I was like, okay, this is just not a kind of character that
Talk
I
about
think.
fair weather fan energy, man. Like what are we talking about there?
Also, you can't possibly have predicted that this event would have occurred, so you can't say, "Oh yeah, dude, I totally big brain. We should have traded for Rashid Rice or for
That
Brandon
I mean
Ayuk."
that was like love our buddy Punch in our football group chat. He's like, I told you guys the Chiefs were gonna win the Super Bowl. It's like,
Okay, he does
dude,
say that, but he
no
says it
way,
every
man.
year. He
No
says it
way.
every year.
Never would have guessed a Chiefs fan said that. No
But
way.
yeah, I mean, and that's not even Lance has spoken. I think he's probably a fine individual, but he's just out there trying to get people angry in his comments. And that's just the business these days. That's just what they do on Twitter.
Anger
And
farms, man. Anger
anger farms.
farms.
It really does. All right, let's get on to our Where Are They Now segment. We're going to plan on doing this during the season where we highlight a Chiefs player where they're a former Chiefs player and now they're off somewhere, like the aforementioned Tyrann Mathieu and Daniel Sorensen, if they do some big stuff in the league or whatever. But
Or like let's say Byron Pringle goes off for 150 yards in a game somehow.
dude,
Uh
I miss him. I thought he was going to be something
and
special,
that
but
that's just the greatness of Mahomes, man. Like that's one of the prime examples. I mean, you have Byron Pringle, who was a really clutch red zone threat for us. I mean, he had some really good games, and then he goes off, gets a good contract with the Bears, and
yeah. He also caught a touchdown from Kelsey. I think he's the one that caught the touchdown
yeah.
from Kelsey, which is kind of funny. But
I mean,
yeah.
and you, if you during that time, if you were a Chiefs fan, you knew you would swear everything that Byron Pringle was a great player. But
Oh yeah.
obviously now, I mean, hey,
Well,
love you, buddy, but hopefully, maybe if they get somebody other than Fields, who knows? But
tough times. I don't even know where. I think he's a free agent these days, actually, because I know he
yeah,
was
I don't think he had a
stop
long
in
term
Washington.
contract with them. So
But anyway, where are they now? Taco Charlton. He was a Chief for a very short period of
Chiefs
time.
legend, baby.
He was a really high first round draft pick for the Dallas Cowboys. He's never really been worth that draft capital, one could say. But there is a thing called the UFL now. And Taco Charlton had 3 sacks in the game against the Michigan Panthers,
Go Battle
helping.
Hawks, by the way. Just throwing that
Yeah.
out there.
Oh yeah. Well, unfortunately, Garrett, he's on the Birmingham Stallions, and so the Birmingham Stallions with Adrian Martinez doing all this stuff. But yeah, Taco Charlton had an amazing game. By the way, those are his only 3 sacks of the entire season of these 3
Hey,
games. But hey,
one game with 3 sacks, I'll take that over, 3 games with 1 sack apiece. What can I say?
oh well, yeah. I mean, that was just a dominant performance. So shout out to Taco Charlton. I think he could potentially come back to the league. You never know. A lot of those guys, can get back in there. By the way, Breland Speaks is also he's on the Michigan Panthers, ironically enough, but
Hmm.
Breland Speaks is also
Another
back in
former
the
Chief.
the XFL or the UFL, whatever it's called nowadays.
I forgot, did the XFL like combine with the UFL, or are they two separate entities still? I kind of forgot
So
what that whole.
it's now the UFL, but the divisions are called XFL and USFL now. But
Gotcha.
I like the product. It's just I don't
I think it's a lot better of a product than it was. I mean, even just a couple of years ago. Obviously, we were former Vipers fans. Got
we
the
spun
merch.
the wheel.
We did. We spun the wheel. Got Vipers. I got a shirt. Didn't last very long.
No, they moved to Vegas, and then
Vegas.
we followed them, and then
they sucked.
And then they sucked too bad to make it to the new league.
Yeah,
that was tough, dude. Both Vipers teams were horrible.
They were awful. And we kind of guessed that whenever we were watching the XFL back in the day. We were like, this team is either going to be the best team in the league or the worst. Unfortunately, it's the latter.
Yeah, dude.
But that's just the way it goes.
Remember Quinn and Flowers?
Oh my god! And we had a crazy running back room too. We had some good running backs.
Smith and Jack.
Our wide receivers were awful. Like they were just the worst.
So, dude, that was a great before COVID too.
Team,
yeah,
man.
The XFL Vipers that were green. But yeah, we're gonna end this podcast off with a quick little mock draft over. We're gonna be using the mock draft simulator. I do like the PFF one sometimes, but as of late, it's just I don't know. I'm switching over.
Well, the moment they went from free to use to paid, that kind of just turned me off from them a little bit.
Well, I have the paid version, but I mean,
yeah, well, Mr. Moneybags over here.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's just some of the evaluations are crazy. I mean, no one knows anything, is what I always like to say.
Yeah,
I don't know anything. Garett doesn't know anything. The ESPN analysts don't know anything because when it comes to draft day, all of a sudden last year, I think is the greatest example. Suddenly Gibbs is a top 15 pick. Suddenly CJ Stroud and Will Anderson are going from like, whoa, what team is going to be which, or is Houston going to take Anderson? They took them both. They traded up for them both. And
literally anything can happen.
Ironically, the most predictable pick was the Chiefs getting Felix, but
I still wanted Zach Kuntz that draft, but hey,
yeah, in the 7th round. I mean, the BJ Thompson pick was also a risky one, but
listen, you can see that video on Upper Hand Instagram of how happy we were about BJ Thompson being
or not BJ Thompson. Keandre Coburn is the video that I was very happy about. That was.
I remember BJ Thompson being drafted, and we were just like, "What? Like, who even is this man?"
Who he is? Yeah. All right, we got our mock draft simulator. Let's start. But basically,
okay, we will see. It depends. Sometimes the simulator loves to go wide receiver heavy in the beginning. Sometimes it goes tackle heavy. Depends who we have at 32.
Dude, Sephora got a free offer there.
Ooh. There are 2 very interesting players that I already see here.
I don't want this trade, and I don't want this trade. Even though I did say I wanted to trade back.
Let's pick in the now. I really doubt this player will drop that far. But with the departure of L'Jarius Sneed, I think Kool-Aid McKinstry would be a phenomenal pick if he falls. If not, I would go Tyler Guyton. He's been one of my premier tackles that I've really wanted. And realistically,
did Mitchell get taken? Wow.
Oh, wow. He went pretty early.
I don't like Keon Coleman, the pick before. That's okay. Maybe I was talking smack on PFF, but again, we don't know. We don't know who's going to get drafted. It could be a run at wide receiver. I did see Kool-Aid get dunked on by AD Mitchell though. So
now, do we want to go realistic? Because I think Tyler Guyton could fall to us there, or do we? Yep. Hey, fair enough. We'll take it. We'll go.
Dude, wait. Ricky Pearsall, I think, just went.
No way. Not in the 2nd.
It's the top of the 2nd, I think. I can't see it because it's too fast.
If he goes that early, I would be so depressed.
Okay, here's the fun. This is where it becomes. See, I like Jalen Polk here. I think Jalen Polk is let's look at positions.
Let's see. Yeah.
I also like Javon Baker.
Javon Baker's good. I think we would have to absolutely go wide receiver here if we didn't go it in round 1.
So we had a visit. Mahogany visited with us, but I mean, it's just what we might actually do. And then Max Belton. Oh, also Chris
Abrams drain. Yeah,
but he's 89. He might.
Cam Hart as well. I'm pretty high on him, but if he drops to the 3rd, that would probably be a pretty prime pick for us. But
I also like Jatavion Sanders out of Texas, but we don't need a tight end that high, even though
Do
he
we
is
wanna go
your tight
crazy
end.
here and go with Javon Foster over Jalen Polk, or do we wanna
I think, or you mean Javon Baker?
Javon Baker?
I think we could go Polk here. I mean,
I'm okay. I'm totally fine with going Polk. It's really up to what you prefer, but I'm totally fine going Polk here. He's a great player, and I could see him going in the second.
all right, we'll take Polk then. A plus. I mean, it's just the suggested picks, but it's like two. Like
But I mean, hey, if it
it's the
falls that
first
way,
two
it falls that
rounds.
way.
It's the first two rounds here. Apparently, we're
Now,
amazing. The A
yeah,
plus.
we're just hey, Veach, call us up, put us in the draft room, put us in the war room.
I
We're
think we're
doing
gonna do no
offers for a
trades
third. Yeah,
today.
no trades today. So
Javon
interesting
Baker
that
is still
Javon's
there.
still there. So great job taking. Oh yeah, definitely got to go Spencer Rattler. Jeez.
Okay, let's see the
Cam
CVs.
Hart is still there. I am a big Cam Hart fan,
I
but
like these three guys right here. Is it showing that I'm highlighting them? It is
yep, I
awesome.
think realistically, really any of them would work. I don't know if we go wide receiver
No, we're
back
not
to
doubling on
back.
wide receiver.
My pick probably here would be Cam Hart, but I
We'll
could
take
see
Cam
us
Hart then.
going Christian Mahogany. But
I also kind of like O tackle here.
Rosengarten's not. I mean, hey, but if
Brendan Rice.
we're not doubling,
I know. We're not gonna
we'll take
take.
him. Good
See,
corner out
here's
of
the thing.
Notre Dame.
I wish we had gone Melton and then Baker.
Now, if Brendan Rice is still there at 4, maybe. But
If Javon Baker is still there, that's the thing.
okay, there goes Javon.
I think Rose Garden's gonna be there.
Ooh,
He is there again.
Rosegarden and Rice are still there.
That's crazy.
Do we go the double Rice? I kind of like it.
If the Chiefs, realistically, were given this draft board, Christian Jones, okay. Yeah, they would. I mean, I honestly think they would take.
Yeah, those are both
see.
really, really good players.
I want to see interior. We had him visit. Christian Boyd has visited with us, but obviously that's a while from now. I honestly, I got.
Dude, I'm totally fine going double Rice, baby.
I think this will solve the Chiefs' wide receiver problems, and if it doesn't, one of these guys has to be good.
Hey, who knows? Maybe both.
Hey man, it's just a simulator. It's not the real mock draft. It's just for fun,
Yeah.
It's
Hey,
just
first mock of the podcast. Got to go a little crazy.
it would be crazy if they did that. Christian Jones is still there. I think you'd want interior O-line.
I think you know exactly who I want to pick here.
I see him.
He is another one of my draft crushes, you could say, for sure. Absolutely phenomenal combine. He's, thick-bodied, extremely fast, good runner, everything we would need in a backup. I know we just signed Clyde again, but hey, I'll take Isaac every day of the week.
Isaac will be there for the future. That's the thing. I really want to get some interior O-line or D-line.
Let's check out that category. Let's go to interior O-line.
What do you know about Mason?
He's all right. Check tackles real quick. I want to see if there's anybody I
looked at before. And then interior,
Hey, we have had talks with Christian Boyd. If he's still there at a later pick, I wouldn't mind taking him. I know our buddy Jackson wouldn't like us taking a Northern Iowa buddy, but I think we might have to.
I think we should go with him.
I totally agree.
Look for such great GMs according to the simulator here.
Hey, look, we're knocking it out the park with this one.
Listen, if this was our draft, I actually would be very happy.
I would not be mad at all if this was our draft.
I would be extremely happy. I would probably want a guard. Probably take a guard here at the last pick. The last pick could be
could be anyone.
What I like is we're picking at the top of the 7th.
Now, let's throw in a little bit of a bone here. What are some of the quarterbacks still left on the board?
That's fine.
Just in case we want a little bit of a competition there.
That's crazy. Joe Milton is.
He's suggested too, which is kind of crazy.
Dang, dude, they really don't think any of these guys are gonna get.
Oh, do we just take Tua's little brother as kind of like just like a little bit of a
Jason
Bean? Yeah, I'm not liking the quarterbacks at the end of that draft. Not gonna lie.
Safety. Tyler Owens is
Do we pull
the guy who doesn't believe in space.
Do we pull a Veach and go a 7th round corner who turns out to be a stud?
Let's look at the corners. Where's that Washington State guy? I don't know where he was supposed to go. I picked Ryan Watts. I've seen him. He's good-ish. Yo, let's take him. This is the guy that is playing in the CFL right now and didn't even go to college for football, and he just had a crazy season.
And that's
He's
absolutely one of the
eligible.
greatest athlete names I've ever seen.
Quantez Stiggers is a crazy name.
I would absolutely take that guy if he was there at 7.
F.
Now, is it an F grade? We can't all be winners.
We have met with him too. We've had talks with him.
Have we really? We've met with Quantez Stiggers, is what you're saying.
Yeah, his name will come up on the bottom there. I wonder where that Washington State corner is projected to go.
Not sure, but I mean, hey, other than Quantez Stiggers, I think this draft, I think if we had that kind of pick, I think most Chiefs fans would be pretty happy with that one.
I agree. I think this is pretty good.
They said Jaden Daniels went number 1 overall.
Wait. Oh man.
Let's look at some of these picks for a second, just to see the.
Oh gosh!
Besides Jaden Daniels going 1,
this is crazy. A corner at 6 that.
And for all the needs the Giants have, and they take corner. I don't know about that one.
I like
Donnie Mitchell went 18 to the Bengals.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Joe Alt went to the Rams. I don't know if that's one of their biggest needs, but
wow, Xavier Worthy 28 to the Bills.
28. That would be. Please let them do that. That'd be the biggest reach of all time.
I think he's going to go in the first round. I really do.
You really think so?
Yeah, it's going to be like Gibbs. I think. God. In the sense where it's like no one thinks he's going to be there in the first or be a first round pick. But
Cooper DeJean would be such a fun pick because just for that last name alone, we would get so many commercials with him.
Yeah, and also I think I don't think we need to take a first round corner. I'm honestly cool with our corner room as it is without Snead. I'm not comfortable.
I mean, I'm
comfortable.
But
I'm not
if
happy.
Someone like Kool-Aid did drop realistically,
yeah,
I would not mind taking that pick. But I'm totally fine with Tyler Guyton going 32.
Yeah, honestly, the way that these mocks have been written, yeah, look, Ricky Pearsall 33.
God,
that's crazy.
That's
I also like Braden
Fisk.
I like Braden Fiskey too.
The Panthers believe that he's a sleeper. That's all I can say. He went 39?
Panthers won this draft.
Yeah, that's a crazy. Did they have a first round pick this year?
No.
No.
Remember, it's the Bears.
Yeah. God. Hey, you know who we're not going to see in the first round or maybe in the second? The Broncos.
Yeah. Well, no. I think they finally have their first round pick back.
They have their first round pick back?
Let's see who they take.
Who did they take with them?
I would not like that if that happened.
Yeah, no. But I mean, who's throwing him the ball though?
Jarrett Stidham.
Jarrett Stidham, baby. Or is Jimmy G still on the Broncos?
Or do the Broncos take a quarterback in this draft? Do they not have a second round pick?
They might have a third. Nope. Fourth. Yep.
They do. They took
Mason Smith. Okay. Do they take any quarterback?
No. This is this is a guy we've had visit too. I thought he was going to be with.
Wow, they have a lot of picks in that round. My goodness. Well, anyway, I think that was a pretty successful draft for us.
I think it was a pretty successful first episode here. I think definitely just getting into the groove of things over here, and hopefully, we have many episodes to come.
Yeah, man, it was great being here.
But yeah, guys, thank you guys for watching and listening on Spotify and YouTube. Be sure to check out our Instagram at Upper Hand Chiefs. Be sure to check out the main Instagram, Upper Hand Fantasy, for all your fantasy needs. And yeah, this is not sponsored by Red Bull, but this should try you should try the winter edition. It's really freaking good. Peace out.
Bet.